There were no tests. It's all changed now. But, and we could set up this experimental thing. And it was only 6 weeks long, but it was deemed to be very successful. And a lot of my questions were answered. Yes, we can do it. We can take your questions. We can find suitable ways of discussing. We can't give you exact answers. I don't know everything about the blood system and the interior of stars, but we can at least see where these questions lead to underlying scientific principles. And we can talk about the scientific principles. And if we want to backfill with detailed knowledge, we'll do that next time we meet. We'll come back. We'll look it up on the internet. And this process has seemed to work. And so when we were finally kicked out of the adult education system, once Ofsted had got its hands on it, we went to a wine bar. It's just around here in Tavistock.
Yeah.
And so we sit around a table, and there's no particular agenda. People come up with questions, and I encourage people to discuss the issue before I wade in with anything scientific, so we can see what kind of perspective they've got before we start. I don't know if anybody would like to illustrate the kind of questions. There's friends here from the groups. Who's got a question that they can remember?
Why are clouds white?
Yeah. Debbie enjoys going to Greece, Greek islands on holidays and musing on the journey back. Why were clouds white? That led us to a long discussion, didn't it?
Was your mother's
Yeah, if you didn't quite hear that, Linda was quoting me quoting my mother, who, when I completed my PhD and got a thesis under my arm in biophysics, she said, yes, but why doesn't the electricity leak out of the sockets in the kitchen when there's no plug? And I couldn't answer it. But I remember your question leaks out of I remember a memorable question when you asked about why you can't use reboiled water when you make a cup of tea. You remember that? Yeah. Well, you shouldn't. That was.
It's something that not beside a packet of tea, wasn't it? That said that because there wasn't any oxygen left.
Exactly. It was a long time ago, but yeah, because there isn't any oxygen left. And it was only after a long discussion that we unearthed the idea that actually, Linda, if I've got you right, you were thinking if it's H2O and you lose the O, what have you got? You've lost the oxygen in water. Whereas in fact, it was the dissolved oxygen that was dissolved into the water. So by
Where does that take the flavour of tea?
Oh, we didn't get that far. No, well, that actually illustrates the unexpected ways. In fact, that discussion went on to dissolving. What is dissolving? And what is a compound? And how do atoms bond together to form molecules? And we rather forgot the question of whether it affects the taste of tea or not.
That's another month's discussion.
And I don't know, Anna, if you remember the discussion we just had on 2 days ago?
Yeah, academics said what's plasma, and then we had to define whether we have plasmodium or plasmodium.
And that was inspired by Melvin Bragg. Yeah. So Melvin Bragg did a program last week or this week on plasma in outer space. Yeah. In our time, that was it. So that became the subject there, and that led us into the composition of atoms. What are they made of? How did they come into being? What was the state of the universe shortly after the Big Bang, and so on. So unpredictable path, and in the same meeting, Naina's not here, but Naina was also curious about the difference between brown fat and white fat and yellow fat. So we had biological discussion as well as astrophysics discussions. So